Hi, everyone. I'm Loren Quaglieri. I'm the COO of the nonprofit BarrelBag, which raises awareness for plastic pollution and helps inspire environmental advocacy. Today, we're going to be doing a live interview with exhibition artist Danielle Eubank, and I'm very excited to welcome her onto our Instagram Live. I'm going to her get on right now, and we tested this out yesterday, and there she is. Hi, how are you?
Hi, very well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome. I'm glad we got this all worked out, and today's the day. So
Yes.
I was just explaining to everyone that I was really excited to have you on here to interview you. And I just wanted to give people a little bit of historical background on how you and I first met. And it was through a mutual friend, a friend of mine who Upstart Modern runs some art shows. And Danielle's beautiful work was being presented in one of these art shows. And our installation, and Danielle is so committed to the environment that she was offering to support a nonprofit, an environmental nonprofit, with some of the profits that she made from that show. And she had chosen BarrelBag as that entity, and we were just so delighted. And it just got me super interested in your story too, because you've gone and painted all of the oceans, which is quite a feat. And so I'm wondering if maybe for everyone's sake who's joining here, if you might just I think you would do a better job than myself in articulating exactly a little bit more about your background with painting and the type of artist that you are. And then we could start to go into the journey that you've been on for the last 20 plus years and your observations of what you've discovered while painting the oceans.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, absolutely. My work is primarily, I paint water. I paint fairly formal images of water. I concentrate in artistic terms. I concentrate on the colors and the textures and the forms to try and create a very evocative image each time, something that is hopefully, loaded with emotion. And in terms of my journey, yeah, I've been painting water for, over 20 years now.
Right. And
Yeah.
So what I discovered recently, Danielle, is that you actually grew up in Sonoma. And anyone who's from Northern California and even Sonoma knows that people are very connected to the environment. And kind of just growing up in Northern California, you had a very early relationship, I guess, with nature in general, not just water, but nature in general. And so maybe you can talk to us just about how you've got your early environmental activism kind of kick-started and how you then parlayed that into your talent and skill of painting water.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, big shout out to everybody in Northern California. I'm from Western Sonoma County. I'm from Occidental, and in Occidental, we had our own well. We lived a pretty rural existence. We went to the ocean as much as we could, and it was the way that I was brought up, and I'm sure all of my neighbors as well. It was very much we were within the environment. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized that most people think of themselves as living their lives and that the environment is this thing that's out there. I didn't even know that was a concept until I was an adult,
Good for you. Good for you. Well, and so, it was about 2000, did you say it was 2004 or 2001 when you first went on your very first kind of expedition? I think it was to the south of Spain, and started painting water for the first time.
Yeah, 2001.
2001. So I would love you to talk to us about kind of that start. And then also, did you have any idea where that would take you on this, for the next 20 years?
No is the short answer to that. No, in fact, it was a series of mishaps and calamities that turned out great. Yeah, I had been painting the natural environment, and I had also been painting a lot of portraits and a lot of images of animals and things. And then in 2001, my friend Valerie and I took the year off to paint and learn Spanish. And she suggested that we go to La Doñana National Park in southern Spain. She did the research, as she always does a great job of doing, you know, and so I went along and thought, oh yeah, this is really terrific. You know, there's like the greatest protected biodiversity in all of Europe, right? And but my complete ignorance and lack of research, I didn't know until we got there that we weren't allowed to go about 50 meters in from the water. Because I thought, oh yeah, I'll get to see these Iberian lynxes and it'll be fun. Right. But of course, that's a non-starter because they're protected. They don't want to have the contact.
No more people.
You're right. Yeah, that was very silly. But anyway, so I sat there with my back to the ocean, painting the sand dunes, because I was utterly terrified of painting the water. I couldn't imagine, first of all, I couldn't imagine how I would paint it, because I had remembered, you know, in Sonoma County, sitting looking at the Pacific Ocean, thinking it's moving too fast. I can't paint that, you know. And then I couldn't figure out a way to paint it that was in my own voice, you know, that wasn't a cliche, that wasn't something that I couldn't relate to. But after about 4 days of painting the dunes in the sun,
you were ready.
There's no sheet, right? I decided to turn around. I literally turned around, put my elbows on my knees, stared at the Atlantic Ocean, and said, "Okay, all right, you know, I've got to find my own way of painting you." So that was the first sort of mishap. And then on the same trip, I got in a cycling accident, which is something that I do a lot. I'm not sure I've ever been on a bicycle and not gotten in a cycling accident. So yeah, my cycling career was short-lived, but that put me in 2 or 3 months convalescing in northern Spain, in this little fishing village by myself, while my friends went on and did really courageous things. So that whole time I just sat on the quay with my sketchbook and my canvases and just looked closer and closer at the water. And the more I looked at it, the more I really appreciated it and all of its complexity.
Well, we're glad that you did, because you've come up with some amazing works of art. And I'm going to read a little something that I think I read in one of your bios here. It says that you have explored the consequences of the human footprint on seascapes all over the world. And your body of work, one artist, 5 oceans, which took you close to 20 years to be able to produce, simultaneously communicates the preciousness of water and the impacts of humans on the environment. So as someone who has been on a boat in the water and traveled all these 5 amazing masses of water, studying them, painting them, can you tell us some of your observations that you may have had about how humans have impacted those areas, whether it be through a change in biodiversity that you might have physically noticed, or litter or plastic or whatever it was that you observed along the way? I'd be really interested to hear that.
Yeah, I should preface it first of all by saying that's, you know, my observation, which is a bit of a snapshot, right? It really takes decades and decades of research and analysis and statistics to really observe change. But what I have seen every single place that I have been, from the cleanest places in Europe and North America to some places that are less clean, to, you know, Antarctica, to the Arctic, I have seen plastic and trash every single place I have been. Mm-hmm. I have seen plastic bottles in the high Arctic. I have seen lots of plastic debris. I mean, sure, you see wood and glass and things like that too, but I know that those will biodegrade and turn back to, you know, silicon and so forth. Silica. I have seen oil and sort of old plastic stuff in Antarctica.
Wow.
I've seen it in the UK. I've seen it in, of course, the United States. Everywhere I go, even actually away from the ocean. I did a sculptural piece about 10 years ago now, where I only used bits of plastic that I found in national parks.
Oh, wow. In one of your sculptures?
Yeah.
And you know, speaking of that, which is really creative, I'd actually like to see that sculpture, a picture of that sculpture. But you also use very environmental friendly products when you're painting as well. I would love to hear you maybe speak to that as well.
Yeah, I only use FSC certified, so Forestry Service certified wood in my stretcher bar. So I paint oil on linen, which is stretched on wood stretcher bars. The linen is linen, which is coated in oil paint. And then the oil paint I use is, I use Old Holland oil paint, and which I think is some of the best oil paint out there. And most of the paints that I use are very old recipes, so they're not synthetic paints, they're not synthetic pigments. And then I clean my brushes in oil, just regular old oil. I use citric acid to clean them. And then I thin my paints. I don't use turpentine. I use Gamsol, which is still a mineral spirit. Right, but it's like super low. I think it's the lowest VOC mineral spirit out there. So I'm doing what I can, and you know, if I can reuse other products, I will. In fact, I just purchased a whole load of art supplies from an artist friend of mine who is retiring, which is another great way to cycle, right?
Right. Well, reuse is kind of the way we like to work. I wanted to kind of add some notes about the world's oceans here, just so the people who are listening have some perspective on some of the research that scientists and other researchers have been doing on the ocean as it pertains to plastic, just to kind of put some things in perspective. Over 10 million tons of plastic and other kinds of waste enter the ocean every year. And the Pacific, believe it or not, is the most polluted ocean, with over 2 trillion plastic pieces, a third of which circulate in what's called the North Pacific Gyre. And for people who, you know, kind of follow environmental podcasts, etc., you probably know that there are 5 ocean gyres out there. The North Pacific Gyre is the biggest one, and one of the problems with these gyres is that they create this film, and some of the stuff isn't necessarily observable by the naked eye, but it creates this film over the top of the ocean, so the sun can't get down and penetrate it and give the plankton and the algae the nutrients they need to provide nutrients to themselves. So the entire ecosystem therefore gets disrupted underneath the ocean. And that's one of the, you know, that is a big reason why plastic, which does not break down and biodegrade, we have to change our habits as a society, because and the ocean cleanup is working to clean that up, but that's just downstream. We need to fix the problem on the front end and come up with better alternatives, reuse as much as possible, and stop our dependency on single-use plastic. So did you ever come across any of the gyres while you were sailing? Did you guys have that?
Hopefully that will be next, and I want to add something to that. So
yes.
There's that film that you mentioned, that is on the top of the surface of the oceans in those 5 gyres. And there's an additional problem, which is that as the plastic does break into smaller pieces, or some of it starts out as small pieces, there's about, I think, a kilometer deep in some places of
70% of it goes down into the ecosystem.
Yes, and it's so small that the marine life consume it. And it gets small enough where it's very, very difficult for us to take out of the ocean, which is back to your point about stopping it from getting into the ocean in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just, the toxicity of the plastic when the fish consume it just goes into their muscles and their fat. And then anyone who eats fish is consuming that toxicity, and they're finding out all different studies about how that is affecting us in our entire food chain. So that is something to be cognizant of. And speaking of, so also we had a great opportunity over the last week to work together on something we called the 7-Day Earth Day Challenge. And April 22nd is Earth Day. So Thursday is Earth Day. And so Danielle, you actually were the impetus for this 7-day challenge. You had run one on New Year's, I think the week of New Year's, which was a 7-day challenge to inspire people to try and be more environmentally friendly or aware. And so we just ran one as well. And we have a winner. We were doing a giveaway, and Danielle, you were giving away one of your beautiful paintings. Explain which one it was. I forget which one it was, but we have it on our website. Do you remember which one it was?
Yes, it is a photograph that I took in Antarctica. Yeah, and it is an iceberg, and the day that I took this photograph, that light was absolutely the strangest thing I've ever seen. It was like this purple fog with the sun trying to come through. So it was like this yellow light coming through this purple fog. And then you had this blue iceberg. So yes, some lucky person gets
stunning. It's stunning. Well, that lucky person, her name was Kelly Suzanne Townsend. She's our winner. She did all 7 days of the challenge, and she continued to tag us, Sea-Sense flip-flops, which are using plastic out of the ocean to create sustainable flip-flops. And then there's a BarrelBag package as well. So we'll be getting in touch with Kelly Suzanne Townsend so we can send her gift purchase. But or her
well
gift.
Done, Kelly.
Yes. But more importantly, you know, it is Earth Day coming up, and BarrelBag, we believe that every day should be Earth Day, and I know, Danielle, you also believe that. So I'm wondering, I don't know if so we did this challenge as a way to kind of inspire people and kind of get them excited about Earth Day, and just remembering that it is the birthday of the modern environmental movement, which started in 1970. So this is 51 years. Last year, most people were confined to their homes, and we're hoping that this year more people are able to get out there and do something to give back to the environment. We're going to have different groups of people out. We've over 15,000 BarrelBag users. We'd love to hear from you guys what you guys are doing to give back, whether you're using your BarrelBag to do a cleanup in your town, community, beach, etc. Please let us know. Post a picture, send it to us, or post it and tag us. I know Delta Upsilon in Wisconsin. I'm going to give them a shout out. They just did a fundraiser for BarrelBag, and they have started to do a series of cleanups on the lakes there in Wisconsin. So thank you. I'm trying to think. We've got some other good stuff. Oh, Crystal B, one of our longtime BarrelBag supporters, is doing a Facebook fundraiser for BarrelBag as a way to support the environment and give back. And she's always cleaning up. And we've got some people in San Francisco also doing some cleanups. Danielle, do you have anything that else that you're planning on doing for Earth Day?
Yes, I have two things which are sort of equally important. One is I'm going to be part of a land art project with the Southern California Women's Caucus. which is going to be quite fun. So the challenge to myself, and I haven't done it yet, so I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but my personal challenge is I'm going to create an art piece while hiking that will involve earth, air, and water.
Wow.
So that's one thing. And the other thing is I get to see my mom after almost a year and a third of being in lockdown. So everybody's finally vaccinated.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, I mean, as if painting water wasn't hard enough, now you're going to try to combine all three elements.
I don't know how it's going to turn out.
I do want to see what you come up with for that. And I'd love to, I haven't sent you a bag yet. I'd love to send you a bag as well. So just to kind of come full circle here on your journey to paint the 5 oceans. Is there anything else you'd like to share with people about this process and what this has meant for you, and how what you would like to tell us as just a community on what we should think about?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that everybody should definitely check out what BarrelBag does and how you can measure how much stuff, how much trash, how much plastic you pick up, which I think is a really great incentive, and I think that more people should do that. For me, I am hoping, so my goal, right, my overall goal is for people to feel more passionate about the environment, so passionate that they do things about it. And when I say they, I mean you, I mean me, I mean all of us. And hopefully through our challenge and through the other challenge that we did in January, hopefully people are realizing that it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be something as simple as hanging your clothes up on a rack, right? It can be something as simple as making your shower a couple of minutes shorter. These are very, very easy things that we can all do that will help.
And save money.
Pick up 10 pieces of trash a day. It feels good.
Yeah. And again, I think we all recognize, that our actions are the things that motivate others to also take part in this effort and want to become part of the solution. And we always reiterate this. It's, we recognize that us picking up trash every day is not the thing that's going to solve the problem, but it's the thing that's going to help amplify the message. And I think that the work that you've done and the beautiful portraits that you've done of the ocean should really, highlight to people the beauty of nature and how lucky we are, and hopefully that alone gets enough people to take action and stand up. BarrelBag is also recently part of the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Coalition, which is a great organization of nonprofits and companies helping to support the Break Free from Plastic Act that was recently reintroduced to Congress. There's more information on that on our Instagram, in our Instagram bio. So if anyone's looking to find out more about that or how you can just take action in small ways, please look at our website under Act Now. It's Take Action, because we'd love everyone to get involved any way that makes sense to them. And like Danielle said, it could be as little as turning down your thermostat in the winter, 3 degrees, saves you money and helps the environment. Anything else, Danielle?
I hope that everybody, maybe what people could do is they could add a message saying what cool things they've done for the environment today or this week. I hope that people keep that coming. I get emails and messages all the time about how people have really observed water since finding out about my work. And what I'd like people to do is, tell me what great things you've done for the environment. Let's shout about it. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah, Absolutely. And thank you. And I'm so glad that this has brought us together.
Me
and
too.
I look forward to doing more with you and continuing to follow your next journey, because I'm sure it will be a fascinating one. And if you get out to those gyres before me, I'm going to be very jealous. But thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone else who's tuned in. And we'll post a copy of this on our Instagram so anyone can go back and see it if they missed the beginning.
Great. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.